You think you know what the moon is, but you are wrong. India's lunar orbiter recently found rust on the moon. But what they don't tell you is that the moon is also covered in titanium, chromium, and zirconium, and these are the exact same metals we use to prevent rust here on Earth. To me, that sounds like someone knew the moon would rust and was trying to prevent that with a coating. Oh, here we go again. Listen, this is not just conspiracy mumbo jumbo. Actual rust has been found on the moon. That should be impossible because there's no oxygen there, no water, no atmosphere, and rust cannot form without oxygen. So it seems entirely possible that something inside the moon is leaking oxygen. Or maybe even the entire moon is a space station.
Wait. Scientists have already explained the rust. The whole thing is just a side effect of Earth's magnetic field. Yes, rust indeed needs oxygen to form. But it doesn't matter that the moon doesn't have an atmosphere because it gets some oxygen from Earth's magnetic field. So there's certainly no giant space station beneath the
Do
moon.
you have proof of that claim regarding the magnetic field, or is it just an assumption?
Yes, I have proof. If you pay close attention, you will see that the rust is found only on the side of the moon that faces Earth, which means, with a big certainty, our magnetic field is to blame.
Alright, with a big certainty. If that's the case, explain the iron then. Where does that come from?
The iron comes from the moon's formation. It was blasted off Earth or Mars by a massive impact billions of years ago, so of course there's iron mixed into its crust.
Alright, even if you're right, what about all the other elements that I mentioned that we use to cover steel with to stop it from rusting? To me, it seems like the composition of the moon was specifically designed to prevent rust.
I wouldn't say designed, but yes, what you're trying to say is true. We use all of these compounds to prevent rust, but they can occur naturally as well. Maybe it's just a coincidence that they formed on the moon.
Or maybe it's because the moon is an alien spaceship that's slowly degrading. Ah, come on! The moon has no atmosphere. It's blasted with hydrogen from the sun that prevents rust, and it's weirdly coated in rust-resistant metals. Yet somehow, it's rusting. Although my alter ego here somewhat explained the rust with Earth's magnetic field, there are many other anomalies and arguments in favor of the moon being artificial. And I'm sure he won't be able to explain and debunk all of them. We've also found metallic titanium on the moon's surface. Pure titanium, not just titanium oxide. On Earth, the production of titanium requires extreme industrial processing at over 1600 degrees Fahrenheit. And we only figured out how to do that in the 1940s. Yet somehow, it's lying around up there on the moon.
Maybe meteorite impacts can create intense heat and pressure. That could explain unusual compounds forming naturally. It is weird, but not impossible.
Alright, explain this then. The moon is a quarter of Earth's size, but only 2% of its mass. That's 25 times lighter than it should be. Doesn't that mean the moon is hollow like a spaceship?
When you think about that at first, that does indeed sound strange. But the explanation is quite simple. Mass scales with volume, not radius. What is a quarter of Earth is actually the moon's radius, not its size. The moon's radius is 4 times smaller than Earth. However, the formula for volume, which dictates mass, is cubed. Cube 27%, which is 0.27, and you get 27% of 27 of 27, which is exactly 2%. The moon truly has a mass which is close to 2% of Earth.
Okay, I see. Formula is correct, so that one is clearly a mistake. What about the moon ringing like a bell? I remember that NASA recording, where after they landed on the moon, it rang for over an hour. That backs up my hypothesis. Is that also a hoax?
That one actually is true. The moon really rings like a bell. Scientists try to explain it with the density and composition of the moon, But we are still not quite sure what the actual explanation is.
Ringing for over an hour though? Even NASA scientists called that unexpected. And here is something else. Every deeper crater on the moon stops at the exact same depth, around 3 miles. Doesn't matter if the crater is 50 miles wide or 250 miles wide. They all hit something at 3 miles and stop. And that sounds a lot like a metal shell of a spaceship to me. So haven't any scientists ever thought about that possibility? The moon being artificial?
Actually, yes. A few scientists proposed that, but nobody believed them for obvious reasons. In 1970, two Soviet scientists, Vasin and Sherbakov, proposed that the moon is hollow. They thought it was an artificial shell with reinforcement structures, just like you.
And they were astrophysicists, not conspiracy theorists. And look, I made the calculations. If the moon were made of a hollow iron shell about 180 miles thick, it would weigh exactly what it weighs now.
Yes,
The math checks
your math
out.
checks out, but we've sent seismic equipment there. We'd know if it was a hollow metal. Also, we would see a different electromagnetic signature if it were made out of steel or iron.
Would we though? After billions of years, covered in dust and rock, partially degraded and rusting, the electromagnetic signature would be something very different from fresh metal, don't you think?
That is debatable. But let's say you're right. Why would aliens park a moon here? This is ridiculous.
Look at what the moon does. It stabilizes Earth's wobble to within 2.5 degrees. Without it, Earth would flip between ice ages and scorching heat like Mars, which wobbles up to 60 degrees. The moon keeps Earth habitable. The moon also creates perfect solar eclipses because it is exactly 400 times smaller than the sun and exactly 400 times closer to Earth. Astronomers literally called this impossibly unlikely.
I am sorry to ruin the party here, but that last one is just a coincidence. In 600 million years, the moon will drift too far away for perfect eclipses to ever happen again.
Exactly. Of all the billions of years of Earth's history, intelligent life emerges precisely during the tiny window when eclipses are perfect? Come on. Either that's the ultimate coincidence or we're meant to notice it.
You are seeing patterns that are not there.
We also found uranium-236 in moon rocks. Uranium-236 only exists after nuclear fission. We also found brass, actual brass, an alloy humans invented.
That's most likely contamination from our equipment and from our samples.
Multiple independent samples showed the same results, and we couldn't have possibly contaminated the scene with uranium. Not to mention, we're not entirely sure if we ever set foot on the moon or not.
Oh boy.
And over the moon, there are these things we call mascons. They are gravitational anomalies under the surface so strong they yank spacecraft off course. They are positioned precisely under major impact basins, as if someone knew their head and reinforced them with structures underneath, like you would in a spaceship.
Those could easily be from ancient lava flows that filled impact craters with denser materials.
Yeah, could be. Or it could be deliberate engineering. Here's my question. Why does every single anomaly have a could-be explanation that barely works? When you stack them all together, the hollow density, the rust, the perfect positioning, the metals, the uranium, and even the uniform crater depths, doesn't the artificial theory start making more sense than dozens of separate unlikely coincidences?
Your extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. You have proven nothing.
That's not true. I've proven that there's a lot we don't know yet about the moon. And there's a lot we assume to know, which we don't. Whether you like it or not, the moon is weird. And next time you look up toward the night sky, take a prolonged look, because you might be looking at the last remnant from a forgotten civilization. I'm Dank Susoko and I thank you for watching Into the Unknown.
If you like this new format, let me know who won the debate.
And please leave a comment and a like to bring our channel back to its former glory.
See you in the next video.